What have I learned from living in an empty apartment? I am moving out today. This was one of my dream apartments, and we got it. A lot has changed since being here. I've never given you a proper tour, so I'm going to show you around. And then I want to have a little bit of a sit down chat with you and talk about what I've learned since living here, which have been some lessons and mindset shifts that I find very valuable. I just took my friend's frame off. I'm on the 19th floor. Right now, we're still in the cleaning process. I'm making sure that it's perfect for the person who's taking over my lease. This is currently my trash can, the coat closet. I am leaving this for the next person who's taking over, as well as the yoga mat and the vacuum and the almond milk and the hangers. I'm taking this with me. I'm leaving the wannabe Swiffer. I haven't fully cleaned here. I mean, I've cleaned here. I just haven't fully taken everything. The washer and the dryer are there that I'm throwing back on the ground. Washer and dryer. And then this is the bedroom. I already cleaned in here, but it's okay. It's amazing because you walk into the apartment, you see one world over there. But whenever you wake up to the Empire State Building, which is just breathtaking. And all day, you see the boats and everything. It's just gorgeous. I am leaving the mattress. It's brand new and I've had like covers on it and everything. So it's been untouched, as well as the pillows for him in case he needs them. Here was the closet, pretty large for New York. I am leaving him a picture frame, these two bins. This shelf unit was donated to me by my best friend. I'm leaving him the hangers, as well as this is the apartment. I'm going to show you the living room. The views are insane. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I think that a lot of times the grass is greener on the other side. And we don't realize their lessons that we can get from when we reach those goals and how it's not always what we thought it was going to be. So this is the living room. Great views. I don't have my tripods anymore, so if you care, I'm going to bring my, please excuse the angle. So I'm going to put you right here. Will this work? Actually, will this work? I think so. There you go. So can you see me there? Am I good? Okay, cool. If you hear an echo, I'm sorry. It's an empty apartment right now. But I wanted to go through some mindset shifts that I've gained from living in a dream apartment and how this came about. I was living in an apartment near Central Park, like literally right off of Central Park. There was a big cockroach infestation, pre-war building. The area was like, but it was fine and it was a home and it was like a very small place, totally overpriced for what I'm used to as a fellow Texan. Then we were gonna move to another place in an area called Yorkville, like on the Upper East Side, but like further out east. And I wasn't fully happy with it. And my ex partner, when I was on a trip in Vegas, he came with me. He had found this place at 3 in the morning when he was jet lagged because he's British. He had just come to the US on a sabbatical. And he was like, don't sign on the other apartment yet. Let's check this out. And we were going to move into a studio on the 34th floor. It was 34K, like the letter K, not the amount K. We found this bedroom. I mean, this one bedroom. It made financial sense at the time. And it was just like, all right, let's go for it. And the thing is like, I didn't feel convinced on it. It felt really rushed. And it was like a big financial jump on like the payment in comparison to what we had before, we were about to have as well. And so, but we did it. And I did not follow my gut feeling. I had made the mistake of putting all of my endeavors, my mindset coaching, speaking, everything on hold. And because I was just so focused on my job and I was training for the marathon and I really wanted to do the best that I could, it was just one of those things where you realize that you shouldn't have done that. You should still pursue your dreams and your goals. It really affected me. It's something that I'm like, man, I wish I could go back and not have done that. All of a sudden, I am stuck in an apartment that, the rent is pretty hefty. And yeah, I mean, it's about, $5,000 to maintain this apartment every single month. I wrote some notes to myself on reflections and on what I have learned in this apartment, and I want to talk to you about it. I hope the light is better here. The first lesson is just because I can does not mean I have to. You can buy all these things, you can strive for all these things, but it's a matter of like what is best where you are right now. And I understand that it was a very rushed decision. Maybe I shouldn't have gone for it. And I decided to, and I ignored that gut feeling. It's not about proving a point, it's not about thinking that when you do something, it's going to add value to who you are as a person. It's really, what is it really going to do for you? And for me, I knew that we could afford it, I could afford it. But then I didn't think about other factors, like the fact that New York has been a huge expense and basically we've started over. And it would have been great to not have had such a strong investment in this. I didn't like being far away from Central Park. I was in the middle of training for a marathon and adjusting in a job. Just coming here was extremely stressful. I remember being out of my job, and I had this person on my team who was very micromanaging and, one of those people who are just out to get you. And I remember kind of hiding that during my lunch, I was going to the, post office to get a money order to be able to move into here. And like just these things that just felt like just unaligned and just wrong. And I think that it reminds me, like, just because you can doesn't mean you have to. Everything lining up to it was like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I still did. And I'm not going to say it backfired, but it was a really big lesson. The second one is my gut feeling is my guide and I should not ignore it. Every single time I ignore my gut feeling, and I'm pretty good at following it, it backfires. I remember one time when I was in Houston and I left all of my sunglasses in my car during COVID and thinking, like, don't do this, Claudia. And then I came back 2 weeks later because I hadn't been going to my car, and they had all been broken into, and they were all taken. Car was broken into, they were all taken. And here, everything in me, I remember sitting outside downstairs and telling my partner, like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And I just felt very like like a pit in my stomach. And when I heard new chapter, I was like, yeah, 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 like it's a new chapter, like let's do this. But everything in me said no. And I also am very guided by the running aspect, like I said before. And for me, running near Central Park was my safe haven. I don't like running on streets. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before. And it just, something in me said no, right? There isn't anything wrong with the area, but it's just not my cup of tea, not what I was used to. And I had worked so hard to get myself out of a really strong, I don't want to say depression, but like emotional state that I had been in previously. And I had just spent 5 months working at a running store, really just trying to find a job, get on my feet. And then now, like when I finally felt like this, it was chaos again. And it was just that gut feeling was telling me just slow down, and I didn't do it. My peace is what is most important. Yep, your peace is what is most important. I think that once again, just because you can doesn't mean you have to. And I am somebody who is used to stepping out of her comfort zone, challenging myself, going out for that big thing. And then I realized, like, wait a second, what if we just take a step back and just acknowledge our peace? And what if we just take a step back and really just do something for ourselves that is going to give us that peace of mind, whether it's watching that show on Netflix or whether it's, living in a more like modest place. I am not afraid of doing that. I am not against that. I mean, I come from a small town where, you know, there aren't any luxuries or anything to do, really, for that matter. I'm not, shy from that. Obviously, my mindset is in another place, but it just does give you a different perspective. And so, moving forward, this really stole my peace. And actually, 3 weeks into living here, my partner was like, "Hey, I've just been to Manhattan, like looking for apartments that we can move into. Do you want to try to break this lease?" And I said, "No, it's fine. Like, let's just but even just having that conversation gave me some peace. But I was like having to walk 20 minutes to the subway, taking an hour and a half train rides to work because I was visiting multiple locations with the job that I was at in the Northeast and like in New York. And it was just, it was a lot. And I realized like it was stealing a lot of my peace. I was in the middle of a marathon cycle, and it was just, it was a lot. And he helped a lot. But I'm just speaking it for myself. I was always uneasy. I was always stressed out. I was always trying to show up for work in my marathon. And for a person who had taking a sabbatical so that he could do life in New York and we could do life together. And obviously, we now know that, like, we have split up and everything is fine. Like, we're both okay emotionally, I would think, speaking for myself. But it was that kind of like guilt of like, oh my gosh. And so the peace was like literally just stripped away from me. And I feel like if I hadn't been here, if I had at least been like in Manhattan where I already had my running down, that would have at least like, and um, my work schedule down as well, from commutes and everything, I would have been just a lot more at peace. Maybe not fully, but a lot more at peace. Was this protected me from extreme heartache in the future? Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that, this apartment and all that it entails was a big reason for us going our separate ways. And I'm not going to get into details. We're perfectly fine and we were perfectly happy, but it was just not going to be sustainable. And I think that it created some stress and some friction and some uncertainty. And the only way that I can think it is, I am so happy that it happened now and not like years down the road. Perhaps I would have been living abroad with children, family, and then what if something crazy happened and we weren't able to handle it? I'm not going to get into details because I have only love for the person who I did almost 3 years with. For me, it's a matter of what was I protected and redirected from. I don't take that lightly. I think it's very important for us to acknowledge, like, what are we learning and how could this have been even worse into the future. And so if you're going through something and you're thinking about, oh my gosh, like, I am just down to my knees, I'm just hitting rock bottom, how could this rock bottom be helping you from something even worse? If you look at the ocean and if you were to like Google like the deepest parts of the ocean, like once you think you've gone deep, somewhere else it's deeper and deeper and deeper, to the point that like it's just so dark somewhere else. And sometimes in your life it's the same way, right? So I think about, maybe I was meant to come here because it was meant to be a beautiful way to end different chapters in my life, from shifting in my career to becoming more laser focused in my business and really focusing on my message and my purpose, on what I'm passionate about. It maybe gave somebody else an amazing experience of living in New York and us building a home together. It gave me an idea of what communication is, on what on deep um, perspectives on relationships, like just so many beautiful things that came out of this. And whenever we walked away, it was like, hey, let's leave it on a positive note. And we did. And it was a beautiful thing to be able to do that. And like I said, I have nothing but love and appreciation for this space and this relationship. And we did it for that. We did it for us. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. Number five, communication is key. We do so much for other people and other people do so much for us because there was so much love in the middle. And I wasn't communicating my enough. I did, but not enough, on the anxiety and uncertainty that it gave me to move out here. And not uncertainty in a good way, but uncertainty in a bad way. Like, there was just something that I couldn't put my finger on. And I was embarrassed, or maybe felt guilty for talking about it, because we had worked so hard to come here. It had been a year almost of thinking about it, or establishing into something, believing in something that just didn't make sense, and then getting it. And really just so many factors, and you're just not communicating. I'm really good at communicating, but then there are times where you kind of hold back for the greater good. And in reality, it doesn't work out that way. And so communication is always so important. I think I would love to be in a relationship where I can communicate weekly and we have weekly touch bases, kind of like you have weekly touch bases at work or in your business. To have them in a relationship, I think it would be so great. We used to do them annually and they were beautiful and they were always so aligned, but I would have loved to have done them weekly, even monthly if need be. So, and I say this with a lot of love and a lot of appreciation of, like, just even from, like, what kind of table we need to get. Like, there was just so much thinking about it, and the table and the chairs, and like what kind of decoration do we want, or what kind of like kitchenware do we want. Like, there was so much communication and there was just so much goodness in it, and I don't take it lightly. It's just one of those things that, like, it really brings you together with someone else. It's taught me about communication with friendships, communication with family, so many things that I find very valuable. The sixth one, and I am not meant to tie my worth to where I live. I think that moving out here made me feel better about myself. It made me feel like I made it. It made me feel like I've got what it takes. It made me feel like I can do all the things. And it honestly just made me feel like a total badass because I mean, living in these kinds of apartments, it's not impossible, but it's not like normal, to pay what's almost like a $5,000 everything in 1 month in Texas, would get you a mansion, or like a little mini mansion. And so here in New York, you just feel like you've made it, right? And you feel like goals. And honestly, like it boosts your ego. And I really had to keep myself in check. I never feel better than anybody, but I felt better than like the woman I used to be. It was like, yes, I did it. And then whenever it was taken away, I had a call with my mom, and she said, Claudia, your worth is not what you earn. Your worth is not where you live. Your worth is whatever you decided it is. And you are so worthy. It's actually infinite. And it was just a beautiful conversation that I had with her. But it also reminded me of like, am I still in love with myself? Do I still see myself the same where I live, an apartment that has a cockroach infestation that we have to call in for all the time, where I live out in the Upper East Side, where it's not even considered the Upper East Side, or when I live in a place like this, and the answer should be yes, despite of what you drive or what you wear. I treat everybody the same. So why wouldn't I do the same thing for myself? And so really just thinking about it doesn't make me a better human to live in a place like this. And it just gave it a different perspective. Will I have a place like this again? Absolutely. A smart decision right now. It just makes sense. And it's also tied with lots of memories. But yeah, just it doesn't define who you are as a person. It really shows you on like who's going to be by your side whenever you have it and whenever you don't have it. I've had friends who have been here with me every single week here, and I have got friends who have just been like, sorry, just won't make it out there. It's too far away. Oh, and I don't want to. And it's just like, all right. It's not that it hurts, but it really opens up your eyes onto like who can you count on, really, 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 really count on when you're in it. And I've got friends who don't even live in New York and they've checked up on me weekly. And I've checked up on them, people who live in California, who I've never met in person, people who are like my best friend in Houston, my family, my cousins. It just really shows you when you're going through a difficult time. And then for me, it was like this space, like people being like, "Oh my gosh, your apartment's fully furnished. Can I come stay with you in March?" But then whenever it's now empty, it's like, "Oh, sorry, can't answer the phone right now. I don't have data." And you're just like, it really shows you like people are there not for you, but really sometimes for what you have. You have the power of making a space as happy, abundant, and positive as you want it to be. Somebody said, you need to get out of that depressing apartment. And I was like, depressing? What do you mean depressing? All I do is pray. All I do is dance around and do my keynotes and film the podcast and think about my dreams and take action on my goals. And there's nothing depressing about this. On the contrary, I am so, 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 so happy. And I am so happy that it's now going to go to a person who is going through a similar situation. He has a startup. He's just went through a breakup, and I've been able to leave him many, many things that are now going to help him, and he's going to step into something that has great energy. And I am walking out with great energy, knowing that I've done something so good for myself, knowing that I tried it out, knowing that I've had the courage to step away because it was time and not cling on to it, thinking that this made me better of a person. And so these things are just little things that you think about whenever you're shifting in life. And I was filming a video yesterday downstairs thinking about every single time that I move, I love going on one last run, one last walk, one last coffee, one last, journal session, one last something to like really taking it in. I wasn't able to do that in my last apartment. And I'm able to do this now. And so I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful for all the lessons. I'm so grateful for the person that I was able to do this journey with. I mean, there's so much love involved, so much um, compassion and empathy and just togetherness. And I just hope that you take something from these lessons, whether you're moving, whether you're planning on moving, whether there's something in your life that you're striving for and you think that the grass is greener on the other side. I think that ultimately happiness starts within, fulfillment starts within. It's about I am happy with anything that I have, but I am also happy with the nothing that I have because it just, I find value in it. That gratitude for me is very important. How can you find gratitude with the so-called lack? And I don't lack anything. And so with that, that is that. These are my lessons from living in an empty apartment. And thank you for sticking around. We're going to continue doing more lifestyle videos. I have ordered a camera and I'm very excited to continue this journey. I don't know what's ahead, but something is going to come out of it. And so just know I talk a lot of sports mindset, talk a lot about mindset, but this is also going to be a journey. And I should have done this. Should have done this when I went to Dubai. I am 3 years late to the game, but never really late. So keep being the champion of your life. I love you. Sending you a big hug. See you in the next one. Bye. Miracles happen at any moment. I had been waiting for this apartment to be rented out for 3.5 months since I've listed it. 3.5 months. And last week, it was on a Tuesday. I was like, God, please help me. And literally the next instant, I had 4 people interested in coming to see the apartment. 2 of them canceled, but the first 2 who came to see it, they both expressed interest and wanted to take it. And I got to choose. And that is just absolutely insane to me. So if you're going through something difficult and you're thinking, when is this going to be over? Also think about, okay, miracles can happen at any moment. And I'm actually very happy because it's going to somebody who needs it just as much as I needed to get out of it.